Hello, I'm Bert Oliver, and welcome to Bowie News and Views. And co-anchor John Rouse will introduce our guest today.
Oh, I'm glad you remembered my name.
Yeah, well, here's John Rouse.
It is.
Esquire and Limited. So
You missed the show recently where I came in a bathrobe because I like to give a little, flair. And Chief John Nesky of our Bowie Police Department you've been on the job now for?
Oh, as chief?
As chief.
March 21st I was sworn in.
But you've been here for a while.
Yes, I was the second person hired.
In an effort to make you comfortable.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought maybe we were just trying to reduce the glare today between the two of us. I would have brought mine.
there's more to the story of him last program we had with his bathrobe on, because then I asked him, you got to stand up, and he stood up and started taking it off, and our ratings were going to either go downhill or uphill.
It's a family station now.
Thank God he had him over his FBI shirt.
Listen, I want you to, the CIA shirt.
Yeah.
I want you to know that this is an internationally watched show. All my family, of course, in the UK, niece in Malta, and they watch it on YouTube. That YouTube
the
is
power of the web.
Except when John's not on, they don't watch it.
No, they don't watch birthday.
The internet. Is there anything it can't do?
God.
Exactly right.
Well, John, we're here to discuss the Bowie Police Department. You took on a challenge. It's a new department. You're down in the new headquarters.
Yes.
As you know, building up a police department to its full flow is tough. It's tough. And there are complaints out there. I mean, they're trivial in my estimation. Speeding, especially.
Sure.
I see it myself up and down Stony Brook Drive. It's just ridiculous. I've almost been knocked over by vehicles many, many times. What are you guys trying to do to address that problem?
Well, we've attacked it on a number of different fronts.
Okay.
The longest and most far-reaching so far has been the speed cameras.
Yeah.
in the school zones.
Yeah.
Like them, love them, hate them, whatever, they work. Statistically, we've seen
I'm
the
all for them.
speeds drop down,
Yeah.
and
You've also made a lot of money.
that's a side thing to it. Yes, it's funny because we were doing the tours of the new building, and we're walking the groups through, and I'm like, this is where you would pay your citations or your speed camera signs, and I like to say we're building City Hall $40 at a time.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
the ones that hadn't gotten us ticket, chuckled, and the ones that had gotten a few, not so much.
No, not so much.
But that's one of the more long-reaching ones because, again, that's using technology as a force enhancer.
Sure.
We're still altering drivers' behavior without having to commit the manpower, there the entire time. We also have the traffic unit, which is 3 officers and a sergeant. They do targeted patrols. They do respond to citizen complaints. There is a link on the website where it goes directly to Sergeant Rose in the traffic office, and we look at the information. We'll put radar out. We'll do some speed enforcement. See what kind of numbers we're getting. A lot of times, sometimes it's hit or miss, or sometimes we sit out there. We go, wow, we were out here, 2 hours and we got 10 tickets.
Yeah.
Then we go, no, wow, okay, there really is a serious problem here. We'll linger here for a little bit. That in conjunction with the your speed is signs and traffic counters, we try to take a holistic approach to it. And of course, then the other officers have radars as well, and
Oh, sure.
in between calls they'll do some traffic enforcement. But it does remain one of the leading issues of the city that we continue to work upon.
You actually should teach your own police officers to use the turn signals.
We've had a couple conversations about that. It's funny because as we've had discussions, I encourage anybody who has sees something that's unsafe or what they perceive to be unsafe to contact me with specifics.
Sure.
And we had one person that I didn't like the way this officer was parked, blah blah blah, and gave me the specifics, everything I ever asked for, and took care of it.
You'll take care of it.
No problem at all. But the turn signals, we're working on it.
Okay.
Well, that might be a practice that a lot of it could do with other drivers too.
Oh, yeah.
But the interesting thing about the speed, to me, I've observed some of the school zones, and local people know it's there, and I see a lot of brake lights sometimes, which meant there might have been a little over 30 in that period of time. And I've seen very few on it's the Town Center Street, I forget the name of it. It seems to have changed the traffic a lot, and it stayed that way pretty well. I used to see a lot get through there that knew what they were doing and take off to 35, 45 again, you know.
Right.
But that seems to have changed too, so it had some advantage. So I don't think you're getting as much income as if you had started instantly and then the warning, income probably been greater. But let me ask you about have you got any statistics about that, whether they're local drivers or
as far as the speed camera goes or traffic enforcement, I don't want to call any neighborhood out,
Yeah.
but we did do some speed enforcement at the request of the neighborhood and wrote 20 tickets. Out of those 20 tickets, 12 lived in that particular section. So, you know, we are the problem.
Yeah.
That's why speed awareness days work very well. Speed awareness days are something that we work in conjunction with the community. We make the community, we put the onus on the community to start it up.
Yeah.
You pick a date, you get us the volunteers, you make your signs, we'll come out with the radar, we'll come out with your speed is stuff, and we'll just make people aware that they're going too fast, because a lot of it is.
Okay.
We wake up in the morning in a blur, we move the kids through the house, we do whatever we need to do, and then we bust out the door, and we don't think about necessarily how we're driving.
Yeah, you're right.
And
these damn telephones, cell
the
phones.
telephones and everything else. You
Okay, is
got
that
it.
new law in effect now? Did the legislature pass that about anyone behind the wheel with the cell phone?
It used to be.
handheld?
It used to be. They put out the first version, and the first version, one of it was, you can't send a message, but you can read a message.
Uh-huh.
I was like, okay, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But they
No,
did
it does
change
not.
it. They did change it. They took all the, they narrowed down the behavior a lot more.
In the
but
UK,
it's
you
still
can't
not
even use a cell phone in a car, period.
Well, it's difficult enough driving on the wrong side of the road. And you're talking on
No,
the phone.
it's the
at
right
same
side of
time.
the road.
But the thing that, in my opinion, my humble opinion, they still need to do is make it a primary offense. It's still a secondary offense,
I see.
meaning that I cannot stop you for talking on the phone.
Yeah.
But if you're talking on the phone while speeding and driving in the wrong lane of traffic,
can get it.
I can add that to your stack.
Yeah, that's
But that's the same that we've been dealing with for a couple of years.
Yes.
Okay.
so.
The other thing is
hasn't improved.
right, the streets going through Bowie. A lot of people don't realize that we got a straight road, 197, and of course 301 in part of the city, but and 450. Those areas, though, you had to get state approval to put the one in front of Bowie High School, the speed camera,
Correct.
from the state. Did the state get into that revenue? Or does that come to the city on that particular
No, it's strictly to the city.
city? Okay.
So,
But those areas seem to have the highest speeders because we're talking over 40 mile an hour on 197.
Right.
And it's very hard to set up a traffic observation there. Let's take 197 and that shopping center there, Bowie Plaza near the post office. Since I see so much 50 mile an hour traffic passing me and I'm 40, how can you
well, you were
combat
speeding too then.
that? I was going 40. 40 is the limit there. But it used to be on the east side of 450, that 197 area used to be 25 mile an hour. The city just piled up when they widened that other side over there.
Right.
Anyway, how would you go about?
Well, it depends. One of the quandaries we had, you like that word, quandary? One of the problems we had
Good word.
when we first got here, and they were, screaming about the speeding on 197 by Rockledge, is like there's really no good shoulder over there to do any good enforcement. So you'd had to catch it way after or way before. Same with around Bowie Plaza. We usually right before Galaxy in that area, there's a little strip in there you can stick your hood out and run some radar, and that's the beauty of the speed cameras again, because it doesn't interrupt the flow of traffic.
No.
It still gives you the fine, makes you alter your behavior and alter your driving. And you see a lot of people that aren't familiar with the area. get behind someone who is, and they're right on the tail because, the person that knows that speed camera is there goes, "Er."
Yep.
And, you see the other guy just like, what's going on? Nobody, there's a wall of traffic going the speed limit, and it just vexes the people behind them.
Good, good.
Well, that's interesting.
Let me
You
change
recognize the points.
Let me change the subject a little bit. First, I'd like to explain to the viewers, I'm sure they know by now. If they don't, they're, out in orbit. We have a Bowie City Police Department.
Yes, we do.
Totally separate from the Prince George's County Police Department.
Correct.
We also have a rising crime rate in this county. People are literally getting scared because right around the border from us, you've got kids blowing each other away. You've got shootings constantly. It's going on and on. We've had some in Bowie. I mean, it's just awful. What the heck are we going to do about it? People are literally upset and scared.
Certainly. And I don't encourage people to be scared. I do encourage people to be aware.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between being, scared to go out of your house versus being aware when you leave your house. And, it's amazing because I tell people 1 or 2 people can affect the crime rate,
Yeah.
by percentage points. We'll take the citizen robberies that we had, the little string a while back.
Yeah.
Just we were getting hammered. And luckily, our new investigative section was able to get some leads. Patrol got them some good leads and some tips and closed them. But after they were closed for a long time, we had nothing. You didn't see any robberies because, again, it's the very few people that are causing all the issues.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things that we have to encourage people to be aware. We have to encourage people to report things. And what I mean by report things is, who belong in your neighborhood and who doesn't belong in your neighborhood.
Right.
If you are walking down the path and you see a group of people hanging around back on one of the paths, even if they don't say anything to you, they don't do anything to you, they don't engage you at all, it's like, okay, not a good place for people to be.
Right.
So you got to call them and report. And that's one of the things I don't know if you saw the council meeting, but they added some funds for directed bike patrol.
Yeah, that's a nice idea.
And I say directed because it falls outside of the scope of regular patrol duties, where these guys are going to do nothing but ride these paths and shake the bushes a little bit of people that.
Well, in all my years here, which I won't go into, I have rarely seen people being mugged in daylight on our suburban streets. It's happening now. I mean, not a lot.
Right.
But nevertheless, it's so shocking to somebody living in, say, my neighborhood, Buckingham, to have somebody mugged in broad daylight on my street. I mean, that's just unreal.
And I'll go further with that. People say that, crime's down. The numbers are looking good. Well, they look good, but not to say there's only 5 break-in enterings, in a month or 2.
Yeah.
They're pretty good numbers, except for the 5 people that got broken into.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's what you have to remember. I mean, you're never going to eradicate everything.
No.
But you still need to keep trying. Even when your numbers start to get good, you need to try to make them better. And it's a constant battle, and it's a constant effort.
Do you find a lot of these people that are doing the thefts and fiddling around at shopping centers, causing crime and what have you, they generally tend to be from out of Bowie, don't they?
It depends.
Really?
Sometimes your local B&Es, the juveniles that skip school during the day, they don't skip school and go to Landover. They skip school, hang around here, and look to see what they could get into. We've had cases where, it's the neighborhood kids that do it. But, it's usually the people that come in for the big stuff.
Yeah.
Are out of towners a lot of times.
Right.
It's if you come and someone just stole a video game or 2. We've had cases where Johnny invites his friend over. His friend likes what he sees and comes back later when he knows Johnny's not home and takes it. Yeah. So it's one of those. It's like, wow, what do you do?
Yeah.
It's such a tough problem to get a hold of sometimes.